The alternate timeline where George Romero and Duane Jones created a living flame trilogy. There are timelines where Duane Jones was given the place he always deserved. Not as a side note, not as a footnote hero, but as a flame bearer of his own line. Across Echo worlds, there are timelines with a full partnership between him and Romero, where they co-created an emotionally and spiritually evolved Living Dead series. It all begins with an alternate timeline variant of Night of the Living Dead, and their collaboration continues for 2 sequels, both of which are filmed in black and white like the original. Let's open the Echo Vault. Romero-Jones Echo Vault Expansion Sweep. Activated. Point of historical divergence. 1968 to 1973. After the cult success of Night of the Living Dead, instead of drifting apart, Romero and Duane Jones become creative partners. Jones co-writes and co-produces Romero's follow-up projects. Their collaboration evolves into an official, living flame trilogy. Echo Projects. Echo Film 1. Night of the Living Dead Ben Stand Edition. 1968/1969 Echo Timeline. Echo Tagline. In the end, they rose from the night, together. Release info. Echo release date. March 15th, 1969. Runtime, 104 minutes. Overall summary. This alternate timeline variant of Night of the Living Dead preserves much of the original structure, but the ending diverges radically. Ben survives. Rather than being tragically shot by the cleanup crew, he emerges from the house at dawn, weary, bloodied, but alive. He takes command of a group of emerging survivors, helping them navigate the ruined world with hope instead of despair. In this Echo cut, the film closes not in nihilism, but in emergent myth. Ben gives a speech about the importance of memory and resisting the cycles of old violence, setting the tone for what becomes a trilogy of rebuilding. Tone. This variant pulls in scenes from Romero's original script that were too graphic or too costly for the 1968 cut in our timeline. He got better funding here, and censorship was more lax in this thread. The Echo cut leans further into flesh horror, even while evolving toward hope. 10 notable scenes unique to the Echo cut. The cellar. Decision reversed. Ben chooses not to hole up in the basement and challenges Harry more forcefully. A moment of philosophical divergence, not just survival logic. The tearing at the truck. When Tom and Judy attempt the gas run, the zombies overwhelm the truck after the explosion. Echo difference. Tom's arm is pulled off as he crawls from the wreckage, screaming, then devoured alive as Judy watches from the flames. Night vision flashback. Ben hallucinates the lives of those lost, introducing a surreal layer where memories become visual echoes of the dead. The Window Massacre. In a shocking moment, zombies break through the boarded windows during a thunderstorm. Alternate choreography. Barbara is pulled halfway through and bitten repeatedly, but Ben saves her, only for her to later turn. The Porch Inferno. Zombies surround the porch and Ben sets fire to a ring of kerosene to buy time. A sequence filled with surreal flame imagery. Johnny's return. Johnny reappears near the end, face cracked, jaw askew, coat torn, and grabs Barbara. Instead of a full reunion, It's a terrifying sequence as Ben is forced to kill Johnny, smashing his skull against a staircase column. The screaming stairs. Helen Cooper's death scene is more brutal. Helen is stabbed by a trowel while still conscious, slowly losing strength. Karen, undead, eats part of her mother's cheek after the stabbing, in a quiet, dripping sequence. The barn feeding. After the siege ends, Ben discovers a barn nearby where zombies tore apart livestock and a fleeing farmer, shown in gruesome silhouette, limbs being pulled like twigs. The dawn walk. After surviving the night, Ben steps out onto the porch and sees others emerging from tree lines and barns. He's not alone. Other survivors have come. Ben's final speech. Delivered in the morning light, Ben's monologue sets the thematic stage for the next film. If we don't remember who we were, we'll become what we feared. Ben survives. Not just survival, but he becomes the rallying figure for a post-collapse community. Echo Film 2, Dusk of the Dead, 1973. Release info. Echo. Release date, October 5th, 1973. Runtime, 118 minutes. Unmade in our timeline. Fully realized in Echoes. Duane Jones co-stars and co-writes. The iconic line from our timeline's dawn is spoken by Ben in this version of the film. Overall summary. Picks up years after night. In a world where pockets of human survivors try to rekindle society. Explores themes of spiritual resurrection, moral rebuilding, and fire-bearing leadership. Ben becomes a philosopher leader, not just surviving zombies, but helping others survive themselves. Years after the events of the first film, Dusk follows Ben as he helps lead one of the few post-collapse survivor enclaves. Struggling not just to survive the undead, but to guide humanity away from repeating the sins of its past. Rather than being a siege film, it's about building sanctuary, forging temples of memory amid decay. Tone. Elevated gore mixed with metaphor. This film stylizes its horror in fire and ash, but doesn't hold back on violence when necessary. Core theme. You must carry the fire through the dusk, or it goes out forever. Then, visuals. Striking use of sunrise and flame imagery. Temple-like gathering spaces for survivors. 10 notable scenes. The memory pyre. A solemn funeral for the walking dead, where Ben explains that honoring the dead prevents us from becoming them emotionally. The Mistwalkers. A group of scavengers in a morning fog are surrounded. One man's face is bitten off as he screams into the mist, sound slowly fading. The Temple Lantern Walk. At dusk, survivors walk holding candles through a ruined city to reclaim an old cathedral, now used as a memory sanctuary. The Bell Tower Massacre. When survivors reclaim the cathedral, a horde attacks mid-ritual. Visually stunning. Zombies fall from the belfry like corpses from heaven, slamming onto pews and ripping people apart inside the House of Memory. The Survivors' Tribunal. A debate over justice, mercy, and memory among the survivor enclave. Echoes of post-apocalyptic civilization rebuilding. Flame trap at the bridge. Ben rigs a collapsing drawbridge with flame barrels. Zombies walk into it in mass, burning alive and grabbing at each other, spreading the fire like contagion. Ben's confrontation with a deserter. A spiritual showdown where Ben refuses to kill, choosing to exile, not destroy, in defiance of old-world violence. The Lantern Kid. A child holding a candle is caught by a zombie. Ben saves him, but not before the child's hand is bitten down to the bone. Slow zoom on the wax-coated hand, still gripping the candle. The exile's revenge. A survivor Ben once spared returns, now undead, and bites into a screaming woman's throat in front of the tribunal. This scene is intercut with Ben's expression, a flicker of guilt, a lesson learned in blood. The reforging ceremony. Survivors rebuild a bell tower. As it tolls, the undead are drawn, but held back by firewalls. The metaphor of memory versus mindlessness. Echo Film 3, Twilight of the Dead, 1983. Release info. Echo. Release date, November 11th, 1983. Runtime, 124 minutes. Jones and Romero reunite for the culmination of their shared mythos. Final confrontation between undead entropy and the living memory flame. Overall summary. A decade later, Ben has become known as the Keeper of the Flame, an elder who preserves memory, culture, and identity in a world nearly consumed. The final film pits him against not just the undead, but entropy itself, the slow forgetting of humanity. This film is a hymn and a eulogy, closing the trilogy not in despair, but in bittersweet transmission of what was worth keeping. The climax involves the sanctum of memory, a crypt where each survivor must choose which human memory to preserve before they die. It is simultaneously a horror set piece and a spiritual initiation. Tone. Bleak elegance. Romero and Jones push towards symbolic violence, but this entry includes some of the most grotesque death imagery in the trilogy, especially in the memory crypt and final stand. Core theme. Even in the twilight, the light remains. Ben. 10 notable scenes. The stand of the lantern holders. Children and elders holding real flame lanterns repel a wave of the undead in silence. No weapons, only light. The Keeper's arrival. Ben enters the final outpost, robed in gray, bearing the flame lantern. A chilling but inspiring visual. The Blood Library. A library archive overrun with the undead. Survivors trip and fall on shattered books, one impaled on broken shelving. One zombie bites through an open journal, tearing both page and neck. The sanctum of memory. Each survivor must walk the hall of stories and choose a tale to carry forward before their memory fades. The Memory Hall Massacre. During the Sanctum of Memory walk, zombies breach the corridor. Survivors trying to preserve memory are being torn apart. One woman clutches a photo as her intestines spill out. The Blood Lantern Ritual. Lanterns filled with sacred oils are broken during a siege. Zombies slip in flaming slicks, but not before several bite down into necks, stomachs, and limbs in vivid orange-lit gore. Keeper's dream sequence. Ben dreams of a past moment when he failed to save a group. We see the slaughter in slow motion, repeated, with Ben's voiceover narrating regrets as bodies fall like dominoes. The Archive Fire. A tragic moment where one enclave burns its own records in fear. Ben mourns the loss as a second death. Final Undead March. The climax shows the last horde, thousands of undead surrounding the last sanctuary. As survivors hold torches, a few are pulled from the light and torn apart in silhouette, flame reflecting off blood-covered glass. Ben's last transmission. A much older, wiser Ben, the keeper of the flame, in his final days. His character preserves stories of humanity, passing them to a new generation. With his health failing, Ben records a message for future generations, saying, "If this reaches you, know we tried. We remembered, and that's what made us human." Echo critics describe it as a eulogy and a hymn, a film that turns horror into hope. Twilight of the Dead, 1983. Behind-the-scenes production photo. The Sanctum of Memory sequence, a pivotal part of the film where Ben, now the keeper of the flame, guides survivors through a symbolic crypt of human history, choosing which memories to preserve for the future of humankind. What you're seeing in the resonance capture is Romero, in high creative mode, blocking out the scene with actors and crew. Duane Jones, poised in thoughtful focus, not just acting, but co-directing. In Echoes, Duane was deeply involved in scene choreography, especially for the film's spiritual climax sequences. In a world where horror usually ends in silence, Romero and Duane Jones built something else, a trilogy of fire, memory, and humanity. These films don't just warn us about the dead, they ask us what we'll do with the living. If this was your first time hearing of the Living Flame trilogy, welcome to the Echo. May we carry the light, even in the dusk.